Hopefully we'll get off. Normally fire station takes like 4 months. It would right after snow.
So you can put something up here.
No, I don't do that. I'm not on the press team. What we use for fire, you guys have to have the county ones, which is yeah, we are travel for them fire, like all the fire station. We've used it quite often. Not so much.
Yeah.
I'm not before my 47 Is that the very end? There's Nancy, Nancy and I was like, okay. John's there.
gonna start in a couple minutes. And then the next one, I think a giant one. Well, no, you can, I've been monopolizing you, haven't I? Sorry.
Yeah, well, we can all
We don't hear about it.
now I don't want to be right, but, we would get
I have, but then I don't know if I get back on mine then, because it's so right today. So I got out and I thought. But if I get stuck, I can.
yeah.
Yes, I have that and a coat and medicine,
Yeah.
not this.
Okay, welcome everybody. Just before we get started, welcome new visitors. Washrooms are in the hallway if you need. Help yourself to some tea and cookie at the front. First up, I just want to remind everybody next month is April. April is Earth Day month. Save the date, the 19th. April 19th, Saturday, will be held at Lindsay Track Trail from 9 till 2, right? Correct?
2, 3, 4.
Roughly. Two. If you'd like to volunteer, there's a sign, there's a little sheet at the front. There's lots of little small jobs that we could use a little help with. Tear up, set up, tear down, refreshments, a whole bunch of little things. So if you're available that day, just put your name down and we'll give you a call if we need that. Okay? And that's about it for announcements. We're not doing a draw today. Yeah.
So the map will be for next time, or next time, 2 times.
Sorry?
The knowledge, yeah.
Okay, can you announce it then?
So he's gonna, John's gonna announce something. John, do you want to talk about your fire?
This doesn't feel quite right, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm Graham Bland. I'm part of the Sources of Knowledge group in Tobermory, and I got buttonholed to coordinate the forum, Sources of Knowledge Forum this year, along with my partner in crime, John Newitt there. So, but the forum is on fire, which is, we're into fire right now, fairly deeply, the two of us, and so that's why we're here tonight, just to kind of continue learning what we are learning about fire. But the forum is from May 2 to 4, Friday night through to Sunday morning, and we have speakers on kind of the cultural, anthropological history of fire. So there's an archaeologist coming from U of T, and we've got folks coming from the Great Lakes Forestry Center in Sault Ste. Marie. That's a national forestry center, and then there's a provincial forestry center in Peterborough, a couple of people coming from there. And then some foresters, one from Quebec and one from British Columbia, who are going to wind up the Saturday talking about, well, the title is kind of enticing. It's, Can a Culture Grow Elders? Can any culture grow elders? And it's about the idea of regenerating old growth. So fire, the focus on fire on the Saturday will be on, you know, fire, our response to fire, learning about the history of fire on the peninsula. But then we want to move with a look into the future as well. And the person from Sault Ste. Marie is going to be talking about a new project that the ministry has going called Wildfire SAT, which is the satellite monitoring of wildfires across Canada, and that's likely a project which will spread around the world too. So that's a brief summary of our weekend, but thanks for giving a moment to talk about it. You can register for the forum on the Sources of Knowledge website, and the details of the speakers and everything will be popping up there in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for your
Great,
attention.
yeah,
about that.
absolutely. All right, so let's get started. I would like to, we're really lucky that we got Krista. One more thing, yes? Yeah. If you need to check up on your membership, Bridget will be at the back corner for you after the presentation. So we're really lucky to get Krista Tiernan back, Deputy Fire Chief. Very, very busy person, especially as we're getting ready to get into the warmer weather. We did have this originally planned for November, but because of surprise weather, we had to cancel. So we got her not once, but we got her twice, which I'm really happy about. So, and she will be presenting on Fire Smart Canada. So let's get started for this very interesting topic. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Krista Tiernan. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief in Northern Bruce Peninsula. A little bit of background. I'm based out of the Tobermory Station, but I do travel down into this area as well. I have a diploma in emergency management as well as fire prevention. So one of my big things that I like to talk about is Fire Smart. I'm not sure if you are aware of what the Fire Smart program is, but I'm going to walk you through little bits of the Fire Smart program, as well as tips that we can do to protect our home and property against wildfire. First thing we're going to talk about, so this collage of pictures is actually fires that we've had up in this area. There's two different types of wildfire. One would be crowning fires, one would be ground fires. Crowning fires are more in this upper picture right here. They're fast moving, they move through the trees, through the tops, produce really high flame, lots of embers. Again, move very fast. Where your ground fires are slow moving, a little bit slower moving. They're tackling your shrubs, anything that's laying on the ground, your leaves and stuff like that. They can creep along, but they can also bury themselves. So what happens sometimes with some of the fires that we get, this one here was caused by a lightning strike, as well as some of these as well. What happens is they'll lay dormant for a little bit. So nice windy day, you might just smell a puff of smoke. Then it will lay dormant again. You won't smell anything for a couple weeks. But what it does is it gets into the root system or under rock and just kind of comes and goes. So what is Fire Smart? Fire Smart is a nationally recognized program within Canada. They do have it in the States as well, called FireWise, but in Canada we have Fire Smart. So what it does is it's resources available to people that are living in the urban interface, which is what we live in, which is a town that is close to or living within the area of forest. So with Fire Smart, provides resources for you to protect your property, which I have lots of resources at the back. Again, we'll walk through it and give you a little tips and tricks of what we can do around our home to keep us. So with Fire Smart, we talk about our home ignition zone. There's 3 different zones. There's your immediate zone, your intermediate zone, and your extended zone. So the immediate zone is 0 to 1.5 meters within and around your home. Your intermediate being 1.5 to 10 meters, and then your extended zone, which is your 10 meters plus. This is where we like to keep. So in your intermediate zone, right around your house, where you would find your combustibles, your shrubs, your firewood, your stack wood for the winter and stuff like that. In your intermediate zone, it gets a little bit farther down the driveway where your trees start to grow and stuff like that, stuff that can easily ignite, all your combustible materials. This is where the area we want to kind of start protecting. Because what we want to focus on is protecting our home. Again, then we move into your extended zone. We want to start reducing the hazards there as well. Especially if it's fallen branches, heavy timber that's lying around, excess leaves and stuff like that. This is a good little pictograph to kind of show what we can do around our home to keep kind of things in check, and how we can reduce the risk of wildfire to us. So one of the things that FireSmart has done, now that we're tech savvy, which I'm not, but they've made an app that you can use on your phone or your iPad or tablet, and you can do a home assessment check on your property right from your home phone or your computer or anything like that. It allows you to just be mindful of what is around your property and stuff like that. So one of the tips we talk about is, again, removing combustibles from around our property, around our decks, keeping within the 1.5 meter non-combustible zone around the deck. One of the big things that I've been noticing, everybody likes to have their firewood right outside the back door. What does everybody do with their wood ashes? Put it in a plastic pail and put it right beside the wood pile. So that's one of the things we kind of want to keep in mind, keeping that out of the way. Move it away. It's great at this time of the year because you can spread them out in the snow. They're good fertilizer for your garden. Cleaning your gutters. That's another big thing of combustible leaves. Leaves and stuff, they dry out on your roof. So we want to make sure that we keep our leaves, our gutters clean, our roofs clean. Especially with that intermediate zone, when your trees are starting to hang over onto your roofs and stuff like that. That's a perfect example of once fire gets up into those trees and it's now kind of on your roof and laying there. So try to keep your trees trimmed back. Make them so they're not touching your roof.
So you wouldn't necessarily, I mean, if the branches are touching the roof, obviously the tree is pretty close.
It's pretty close.
So you wouldn't suggest taking the tree down?
I would. We all love trees, but again, it's something how if you can limb the trees back and keep it so they're not touching your roof and the side of your house and stuff like that. It just gives you a little bit more added protection of those trees not to show up. As we move through the slide, you'll see one of a property that I drive past every day that you'll understand.
Maybe it's ours.
No. Again, wanting to keep, so that we don't have long grass. Want to keep it cut nice and low and stuff. We want to make sure we're raking and removing fallen leaves from around your home. And if you're planting close to your home, you want to make sure that you're planting on the south side of your home. It's a little bit more, has more moisture in there. The sun's not beating on it as much. Plants that are wildfire resistant vegetation. There is some interesting plants that you can get that are fire resistant, such as columbine, moss phlox, wintergreen, bearberry, wild geranium, ninebark. So those are some options if you're planting around your house and stuff like that. That in that close zone by your property. That if you're looking for some color. Again, we want to keep non-combustibles, like I've said, 3 millimeter screens on your vents and stuff like that, except for obviously your drier vents, just to keep embers out in the event of wildfire. Here's our firewood. We want to make sure that it's not on your deck or not close to your back door. To be honest, we had just recently, a few weeks ago, we did have a call where they cleaned out their fireplace and put it in a plastic pail with a plastic dustpan, not thinking that heat still retained in those ashes. and then left it in the basement. They were very fortunate that it had a chemical smell to it, so it was an unusual smell to the owners, and that we were able to determine before it turned into anything more severe. So we also want to make sure we're also away from any other structure, whether it be an unattached garage or anything like that as well. Again, we want to make sure that our garage is safe. So again, overhanging trees, fallen trees, limbs, branches, deadfall. We do have a lot of deadfall up in this area. I'm sure everybody's seen that there's a lot of deadfall along the side of the road and anything like that. So again, just making sure that little things we can do around the home to keep our home and our family safe, as well as our neighbors. And again, what FireSmart does is gives you a lot of tips and tricks of how to keep your property safe, establish a plan. Need an evacuation plan, same as you need if you have a smoke alarm. You want to make sure that you're able to get out. We're very fortunate that we're in a wildfire zone, but unlike California or anything, like they had minutes to get out and make sure. So we want to make sure we have an evacuation plan in place in the event if we have to leave. So this is kind of, I don't know if anybody has seen this infographic before. So in Northern Ontario, they don't use the 911 system. They're 310 fire in the event of smoke or flame. Where we are located, in that little pink little dot there on the peninsula, we want to call 911. So that's kind of the difference between Northern Ontario versus here. I don't know if you remember when the Perry Sound fire was, and we got a lot of smoke from that. So just in the event of, and again, Fire Chief Burke, he's monitoring the winds and everything that is going on in the area daily once fire season starts. So in 2024, Ontario had 480 confirmed wildfires. 262 fires in the northwest or northeast, and 218 in the northwest. So that we burned, in Ontario, we burned 89,000 hectares of forest. So what we've done is Chief Burke provided me with our no loss fire stats, which is like our campfires, or if we go for a grass fire or anything like that. So in 2024, we had 20. In 2023, we had 28 no loss outdoor fires. So that could be also unattended campfires. We do travel to those quite a bit. That could be a small grass fire, a large grass fire. I think our most recent one we had in an area that was burning all summer. The property owners smelled something briefly, and then it kind of would dissipate. The wind would come up, they'd smell something again, but never thought anything of it. They just thought somebody was burning in the area. A lady was out for a walk, and she was walking along a hydro cut and noticed that there was a small little forest fire going on, and it turns out it had been burned like a small little area like this, but it was just laying dormant, playing there all summer in the backyard of this couple's home, and they never even knew. That's how much fire just can kind of go through the root system. Doesn't really do a lot, but when it does damage, it does a lot of damage. So this property right here. So what I've done here is, this is a driveway. There's a house behind there. So this is kind of a perfect example of all those trees that are overhanging the driveway. They've kind of made themselves a nice canopy So what this red diagram is a picture of our fire apparatus, or an ambulance, or a police car. We need 13 feet wide, 13 feet high in order to get back there. So in the event of an emergency, we can't really get there. So behind there is a house, and I've noticed a lot of people now with their cedar trees are making that nice cedar hedge, really high, really thick and stuff like that. And again, that's kind of what this is happening, but again, we want to make sure that we have a room for emergency vehicles. How we can prepare ourselves in the event, we can use this for wildfire, we can use it for flooding, we can use it for winter storms or anything like that. We always want to be prepared for in the event of an emergency. We recommend that you be prepared for 72 hours. Have a kit ready to go in the event that you need it. There may be no hydro, there may be no water. So we want to make sure that we have enough water for 72 hours. So per person, it's usually 3 liters of water per person. We want to make sure in our kit that we have batteries, flashlight, first aid kit, battery operated lantern, any important documents that you would need, food, we have canned food or packaged food, anything like that that can be used. Again, don't want to forget about our pets. So I want to make sure we have our pets' food or any medication that you might need in your kit ready to go. Like we all know, we're on a peninsula, so we want to make sure that we are prepared in the event that the highway may be closed just frequently for a couple days. We may need that kit or stuff around your house, but just to be prepared in the event of any kind of emergency. So this was actually a controlled burn that we did. We were doing training, so just so you know, it wasn't as big as the picture looks, but we were doing a training session one night, and we were burning a field to see how fast the fire would travel and stuff like that. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Hi, is there any warning or signal or anything that comes over the phone?
There will
If
be.
there's a problem?
Yes, there will be. So right now they're working on an alarm system to go to your phone, but obviously radio, any of the radio frequencies up here, it will come across on your phone, anything like an emergency alert, anything like that. And in the event of not having power, there will be firefighters going door to door. So they'll make sure that in the event of, again, I think there should be lots of warning for us to get everything collected and get moving anyways. Unlike we've seen in California, they don't even have a lot of trees. And to be fair, like, that was just started by some fast moving sparks, and there was a lot of ETUs in that. Next question?
Just one about the firewood
Yes.
by the door. Is that like a year-round thing, or just a summer thing, or like?
I would say year round, but
Okay.
yeah. I know we like to keep it nice and close, but yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, you mentioned embers going into the home.
Yes.
Like,
So if there is actual wildfire occurring and stuff like that, when I talked about the canopy fires, it's that kind of embers, because they can, with the canopy fire, they can shoot embers far.
mhm.
And that's really what happens is, like, they can shoot miles and start it.
So they would, like, literally
It's just,
come into my home
yep, you
through
would
a hole?
yep.
Okay, so if we were to, close all the windows and stuff except for the dryer vent, we would be a little bit more of a upper hand at
Yep.
saving our home.
You'll notice out west too, what they've done on some of the homes out there in and around like Kelowna and stuff like that, you'll see sprinklers on the roof. So you'll notice that that's what they've done, they've made their property as fire smart by getting away the combustibles and stuff like that, but protecting the roof with a sprinkler.
And that's.
Yep.
That's, it works.
As long as it's getting moisture, right, it's
Right.
getting water on there, it'll at least protect it for some time, give you some time to buy some time.
I've always felt we're not in a particularly forest fire prone area, but so I was wondering if,
Yeah.
since that big one.
Yep.
120, has there been any problem forest fires?
We have not, so that's what I was talking about, the outdoor lost fires. And so like, the picture at the very beginning of the slide and stuff like that, there are a lot of them have been started by lightning strikes and stuff, or unattended campfire, they have a campfire over the weekend at their cottage and then they go home. But what's great is that everybody's out walking, so walking down or checking on their neighbor's property and stuff like that, so you can tell the difference of a smell between like a wood stove and when it starts an actual like fire smell. But a lot of it is grass fires in the spring and stuff like that. As I was saying, we're getting into our fire season. So fire season is April 1st till October 31st. Soon as that snow leaves that ground and you have those farm fields, it's got that nice dry layer on the top of the grasses, that nice brown, it's kind of crispy still, not green at all. The ground underneath is damp, but up top is dry because now that sun is just baking the top of it. So that's actually our big fire season is in usually April 1st.
Because we had a good snowpack this year.
It might delay it just a couple weeks.
Yeah, but we're in a good.
We're in a good,
Position
yeah,
this
we're in a
year?
good position right now with a lot of snow, which is great. But yeah, sometimes in the summer or in the spring, once that snow's gone and we don't have any rain or we didn't have good enough snowfall, that top layer is what's really dry, and that is what causes the grass fires and farm field fires.
Is there a good system for visitors to know when there's fire bans?
Yes and no. I think we can do better,
Okay.
and I wish we would do a little bit better. But you're right, like to be fair, I find we have one down here around Pike Bay where it's giving your fire danger rating. Then your next one isn't till just before or just after the Swan Lake Legion. And then the next one you don't see until you're coming off the ferry in Tobermory.
There's one at the Hope Bay Reserve,
Okay.
Nature Reserve.
Yep.
And I don't know if there's more of those or.
No, there's not. Again, it's one of those things, social media is a great way to get the information out. Obviously radio, communication, the municipal website, anything like that, or any of the groups, the ratepayer groups and anything like that to get the information out. But there's such a long leg in between each sign, and I don't think people quite understand what they mean by them when they're coming out of the city.
Absolutely.
And again, what does everybody want to do when they're in summertime, when they're on vacation and they want to have a campfire?
I remember as a kid, there used to be a lot of like fire safety in our schools and
Yes.
stuff. Is that still?
So yes, we like to get in around Fire Prevention Week, which is the first full week in October. But we kind of focus on what the theme that year is, whether it be cooking fire, like kitchen fires, or using a fire extinguisher, working smoke alarms. We have not focused on wildland, and that's probably something that I would definitely look into, is focusing on
Like, I'm also thinking like it's, like provincially, so
Yeah.
that our visitors that are coming from the cities kind of.
Are they doing the
Are they
same?
doing the same thing, you know?
They will be doing the same thing in, for Fire Prevention Week. You might see, for Emergency Preparedness Week, which is in May, you'll probably see a little bit of more of the wildland and stuff like that. Obviously, or any emergency disaster or anything like that, we'll be kind of promoting that, but nothing specifically for wildland. Do we have any other questions?
The picture that you had with the 13-foot
Yep.
square, what do you do if someone calls you to fire and that's what you see when you get there?
To be honest, there's nothing we can do. If it is on fire, we have to take care of the fire. Like, there's not like we can lay charges or anything like
No,
that.
can you get through there? Or
With
the trees?
the trees that where the house was cut, or
Could you get through there, or would you
no,
just?
we would have to start cutting.
So you cut before you went through?
Yeah. Yeah.
By which time the house may have gone.
100%. Yeah.
And do you have the equipment to do all that cutting?
Yes.
On your equipment?
Yes. So we do carry chainsaws. Again, we only have probably 4.
Mhm.
So, but that's going to take quite a bit of time to cut. But again, it just shows you the slow response that you're gonna have. Same with keeping the snow out of your driveway too, like trying to keep your driveway clear and stuff like that. It just hinders the time on the response and stuff like that. Like, I think that driveway is probably half a kilometer long. So depending on whether it's a fire or whether it's a medical emergency, we're walking in. I mean, if it's medical, we're obviously running, but like a vehicle won't get through there.
And you're not carrying water when you walk in.
No, again, depending on how long, so each of our fire trucks carries, our pump is 800 gallons, our tankers are about 1,500. So again, do we have enough hose to run from Highway 6 into that property? We might be close, but we usually have about 1,000 feet of hose. Is what we carry. But again, like, question?
Yeah, Krista, I just assume you guys are always there, right? Like in fact, I live near you.
Yeah.
In the fire station. Could you describe a little bit how you guys are organized? I know that it's mostly a volunteer effort. You have crews that are trained, obviously, but I don't think many of us know, I don't know if anybody here in the room is a volunteer fire
Okay.
person, so tell us about that.
Okay, so within Northern Bruce Peninsula, we are a volunteer station. We have one full-time employee, and that's the fire chief. So
One.
how it works is, if you call 911, you are calling a dispatch center. Our dispatch center just happens to be on sound. And so what happens is you initiate your call of what's going on, and when you call 911, they're going to want to know police, fire, ambulance, or all 3, depending on what it is. And once it hits that 911 call center, so ambulance is out of London, fire is out of Owen Sound. They also do Owen Sound Police. I'm not sure how OPP works how it's dispatched, but so we get initiated. We all carry radios. On our cell phone, we also have an app. It's called Who's Responding. So it lets us know that we have an incident, whether it be in Tobermory or whether it be in Lions Head, where we're going, what we're doing, and then we make our way either to the incident or we make our way to the fire station. Then we determine how many people we've got and where we're going to. But again, everybody is volunteer. All the firefighters are volunteer. So we might be delayed a couple minutes in the event of waiting for people to show up. They may have to leave work. They may have to leave their family. They may be they are prepared to come and go to whatever incidents that it's occurring.
So do you have a fire hall first, or do some of you go directly to the fire?
Most of us, depending on where we are, most of us go directly right to the fire hall. Because to be honest, if we go directly to the scene, depending on who it is, if it's myself or the other deputy and the fire chief, we will probably go to the scene. The fire chief does have some firefighting equipment or medical equipment with him. Again, we like to have the truck as our gear's there, not knowing what we're getting into. Like it will tell us if we're going to a medical call or a car fire or a car accident or something like that. But we want to make sure that we're taking a truck. That's our safety. Our gear's our safety. We want to make sure that by having our personal vehicles, we're also not clogging up the incident as well. So we like to go to the fire hall and get whatever equipment needed. But the trucks are all fully stocked with what we do, whether it be water rescue, whether it be car accidents, whether it be high angle, whether it's forest firefighting. So we have each truck is dedicated for different stuff.
I was just wondering, because, you know, if the call comes out and,
Yep.
bunch of you go to the fire hall, and we're waiting for Johnny, where is he?
Johnny might have to do a bit of a drive depending on where Johnny lives. So sometimes that fire truck might be leaving with one person in it. And then if that one person's got a truck, then depending on where people are scattered throughout the peninsula or wherever that incident is, then some of us may go to the scene. Because I work in Miller Lake, I kind of can travel either way. But again, it also depends, do I have to go to the hall and drive a truck? Because our fire trucks, all of our fire trucks except for 2 require an air brake DZ license. So if they're not certified as a driver, then somebody needs to drive that truck.
On lots that are wooded,
Yes.
to what extent, if any, do you recommend removing deadfall and litter on the ground?
On the ground. Again, I would try to keep as much as you can. If it is, are you protecting a structure or is it just property?
It's just
Structures.
nearby structures
Yeah.
and the fact that if the fire came in from outside,
Yes.
if there was less combustible material on the floor,
Yeah.
it might reduce
It would reduce obviously.
the damage.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who argue you should leave all that stuff there because
It does
decays
come.
and it feeds the trees and
Right.
so on, but at the same time, that's not gonna replace the house.
Exactly. And again, we want to protect our house and as much as we can with our family and stuff like that, is protecting our property. And that's one of the reasons why Fire Smart works. I mean, we all love our trees and stuff like that, but we want to keep a safe zone around our house. In the event of just with keeping the deadfall, keeping the leaves and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. If definitely getting rid of the deadfall and leaves is gonna definitely keep you safer.
In case of a big emergency.
Yep.
Like, you know, is there a plan? Is like to get everybody off the peninsula?
Yes,
When they,
the municipality has plans in place. They have evacuation plans, they have forest fire plans. It's just a matter of being activated and how they're gonna go, again, depending on where it is and stuff like that, whether they need to evacuate or whether they, but every year, Chief Burt does exercises with the municipal management team and emergency management, and last year we did a drill on wildfire and see how we did for resources and stuff like that.
Over the last 10 or 15 years, I've noticed more and more people putting up gates,
Yes,
locking gates.
yes,
And sometimes on the road side of the fire number's down a driveway and a gate 100 meters to this side of the fire number.
mm-hmm.
Do you have any strategies about that?
They might not have a gate.
Are there any rules about that? You're just,
So Again, depends on the instant of what's going on. If there's people there or something like that. Under the FPPA, we are protected as firefighters to go onto the property. If we have to do a means of entry or anything like that. Again, we also have to think, is there an immediate threat? Is there an immediate threat to life? Is there people there? Are there people trapped? Where's it gonna go? But again, yes, we have the ability legally to cut the lock on the gate with a saw or whatever, but yes, we can.
You don't drive right through.
In Hollywood.
Again, hopefully I'm not driving. I think it'll also depend on what kind of gate it is. I don't wanna damage the truck either, but
Yeah, really.
we have to do kind of what we can in order to mitigate what's going on. Yes?
I'm still thinking about the volunteer firefighters
Okay, yeah.
getting to the site. But don't they have to get to the station to get all their equipment?
Yes.
They don't have it with them at
So,
home, or in their vehicle?
yes and no. Some of us do carry our gear, but we're trying to get away from that because what's happening, it's part of our actual cancer prevention with carrying gear in our vehicle. Because of the toxic chemicals within fires or car accidents or anything like that, we like to keep it at the station, keep it out of our vehicles, and that way we're not also taking.
So it's unlikely somebody's gonna go from their home straight to the fire. They're gonna
Sometimes.
have to go to the station.
Most times we have to go to the station. What they've done down here on their new rescue is they have big, large totes, which is what I have in my vehicle, and they keep everything contained. Some of them have their gear on the truck in these totes. But also in the event of a large incident, whether it be fire or car accident, that's if you're in chemicals or anything like that, or anything that's toxic. We also have gear washers at each station, so we're always going back and washing our gear after calls.
Where are the stations?
We have one over here in Lions Head, right attached to the library, and the station up in Tobermory is right beside, in the same parking lot as the Tobermory Community Center up on the hill. It's right beside the ambulance base. There's a little parkette, and then there's just the two, yes.
Do you know how long it took to get to the Hellier's fire?
Hellier's grocery store?
Yeah.
I believe they were on scene within 7 minutes. I think Tobermory we would have been 35-minute run time. Home Sound, when they showed up, I think they were on scene within the hour. Once they were dispatched. But yeah, it wasn't very long. Again, our times too. The Office of the Fire Marshal also monitors our times. So when we respond, that's all recorded on how we respond and how long it takes us. For us, up in Tobermory, I can tell you if we're responding to Johnson's Harbor, anywhere back in that area, you're looking at a 40-minute run time. All right, anybody else have more questions?
What about inside the house?
Inside the house.
I'm just thinking of, we have a pretty open concept house, and we're always wondering if we have our
Smoke alarms?
smoke alarms in the right place.
Okay, good question. So, yes, we should obviously have smoke alarms in our home. And carbon monoxide if we have a fuel burning appliance. We want to make sure those smoke alarms are working. We should be testing them once a month, making sure that they're working. But if you're in a new homes now have to have them on every floor and in the bedroom and outside the bedroom. So you end up with a new home and you're probably having about 8 smoke alarms.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So again, depending on
Dinging them.
when your home is built, depicts how many smoke alarms and the placement of it. But if it's an older home,
I did a renovation and they advised me to follow the code.
follow the code, yeah.
Give me a code, so I'm about 8.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have a quick code, I don't know if you can answer this. If I have a home where it's a wired in smoke detection.
Yep.
Fire alarm.
Yep.
And I need to replace it, can I put the battery one in or does that be?
You have to go back to hardwired.
Okay.
So what she was asking is that if your home was built with hardwired smoke, she wants to know if she can replace it with a battery operated. The answer is no.
Why?
Because you have to go with what the code said. So at the time of build, she had hardwired smoke alarms, and then so she has to continue with the same protection.
I think the interconnectedness gives you extra protection, right?
Yes.
You mentioned a fuel burning appliance
Yes.
for requiring a carbon monoxide detector. Does that include fireplaces?
Yes, it does. Propane or wood.
Okay.
Same with if you have a propane dryer, or a propane stove, or if you have any of that out in your garage as well, or breezeway, you should have a carbon monoxide one. So yes, anything that's fuel burning, propane, wood, electric, you do not. Yes. Propane, water heaters, definitely
Mhm.
need to have that. Again, they can be on the ceiling and combined in with your smoke alarm, or they can be separate. But just always make sure that you're testing them and staying within the manufacturer's guidelines. So a smoke alarm is good for 10 years. Carbon is usually 7, 5 to 7, depending. So what happens with a smoke alarm is there's a little sensor in there. It's made with anermecium, and what that happens is it breaks down after so many years, and it starts to decay, and then that's what stops the smoke alarm from actually working. I know people, I've had them for 15 years, they're still working, but they're not working as effective as they should. That's the only thing. The potential of it not going off is there. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Well, so all ours are plugged in.
Yep.
So they're, say, knee high.
Yep.
From the floor. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yep. So what happens with carbon monoxide is everybody thinks it's all in the ground. But it also, because of how heavy air is, it also mixes in with the air, and it also goes up as well. So both work. Both are effective ways of being able to detect carbon monoxide. Just having one is the best way to save anything.
Anybody else?
I'm just curious, what kind of training do you have to do to be a volunteer firefighter?
So
I'm thinking that, I'm pretty impressed that you people do this. It's like, sounds like a, big disruption in your lives, and, I mean, very rewarding, I'm sure, but still.
Yes. So yes, we do a lot of training. So the province of Ontario has made it mandatory that all volunteer firefighters be certified now. So as of 2026, we must all be certified up to a standard. So we're in the process of that right now. We're very fortunate that pretty much all of our firefighters are trained here in Northern Bruce and Peninsula and certified, but we have to be trained at the same level as a career department.
How much time does that take?
A lot. So I've been with Northern Bruce for 15 years. I started my certification process in 2014. The mandatory certification was coming through the pipes, so we wanted to kind of get on the bandwagon ahead of the rush. So we started then, but normally it's a 40-hour program that we do within our stations. or you can also travel to, like a regional training center, or you can go to one of the community colleges and go through their fire service program, but going through the program at a college is obviously gonna take a semester or two.
Mhm.
Like a one-year program, depending on what you're taking.
And how many volunteer firefighters are there?
I believe there's 45.
Wow.
45
Wow.
between the two stations.
Wow.
And is there a lot of turnover?
Yes and no. We're having a little bit of a turnover, but for the most part, not a lot. Like, I've been on 15 years. The other deputy's been on 25. I have another one that's been on 20. So we do have. There's probably 6 or 8 of us that have been on 15 plus,
That's amazing.
or the other ones are 8 or more. So yeah, we're very fortunate.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
you. No problem.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll wrap it up for tonight. If you have any questions, I'm sure
Yeah,
we can talk.
absolutely.
And then she does have some literature at the front or the back, that you can look at there.
So again, there's literature at the back on the Fire Smart program of what you can do for around your property or home. You can also, like I said, go to Fire Smart Canada, and there's a Fire Smart 101 video and tutorial that you can take. There's all kinds of good information out there on plants that you can put around your home. Again, how to keep your property fire smart, and again, living in a wildfire zone. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.